I'd like to speak about the different connection points of this machine. We have an air connection. That's all the air that runs this machine. And we have an electrical connection. This is a 220 volt setup for Europe. This will power the two heaters which are built into the side of these plastic tanks. Various outlets. First we have liquid outlets. You're going to bring material on the resin side and the iso side through the intake hoses into the bottom of both the pumps. The iso pump is smaller than the resin pump because of the need for a near 2-to-1 ratio. There are adjustments for these slave arms as the pumps move up and down, which you can see here. By turning this valve, these pumps do move up and down. As you turn this wheel, the pump will change its position along this arm to change the ratio or the stroke length of that pump. You have fluids coming in, then out of the pump up to this distribution manifold. You will have a pressure reading for each of the materials as they run, and you have two hoses that come out to the spray gun, which I'll show to you in a minute. Also, with the opening of these two ball valves, fluid can enter into the pump and then recirculate back into these tanks. So as the pump is stroking, you can recirculate material through both of the sides so that you can get all the air out, and once you have heated material here, get heated material throughout the system before you close the two ball valves, which will send the fluid to the gun. Also, you have various air connections at the top. You have a ball valve again, which sends air to a solvent reservoir, which is here. With that reservoir, there is a hose that comes from this connection. It just pushes in, out and down to the flush tank. There is a check valve in line to assure that solvent does not back up through the system and get acetone or whatever solvent you're using into this. There is an arrow on the check valve. The arrow needs to be pointing to the flush tank. It's also on the short end of the hose. You also have air with this connection, which goes to the air trigger on the gun. And then you have a control air, which actually sends air to the various pneumatic valves that control the up and down movement of this pump. The gun itself. This is an air actuated gun. You have 4 connections for the gun. You have the iso side, resin side, the air that actually controls the air trigger, which controls an air cylinder inside, and then you have the flush connection, which has a valve on the side, which allows solvent from this flush pot to go to the ball valve on the gun. That will flush out this entire assembly. This assembly comes apart by twisting, pulling forward. That way you can ensure that this is clean when you're shut down for the day. Also, you can unscrew this nut, pull this mixer off the front, which you can either replace or clean if you desire. Also, this assembly does come apart theoretically here, so that you can ensure that it's clean so that you have a fresh start the next day. All these parts can be soaked in solvent overnight.